What is up, guys? This is your boy Superior Simmer, and today I have some more information regarding The Sims. If you guys like news, updates, and discussions, please hit the sub button, and if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. I also do have an affiliate link with Instagame to bring you guys cheaper games. If you guys click the right side of the screen or the link in the description, you guys will find a bunch of deals on cheaper game titles. They have action RPGs, adventure games, of course simulation, racing. Without further ado, let's get into the content. All right, guys, so we finally got more information on the Sims 4 Royalty and Legacy. This time it was the Dynasty gameplay trailer. Now, I know I didn't stream this one. I was really tired from work yesterday, so I apologize, but I definitely will do a stream soon to make up for it. Keep in mind, this video is going to be very long. I'm going to be going over all the information that we've gathered from the trailer and also the Q&A that they posted. Shout out to the Sims community. I'll leave that in the link in the description. There is a lot of information with this pack. Now, before we get into the Q&A, there is a description. They said, do it all for the plot, build a powerful dynasty, take advantage of perks, and be the powerhouse family everyone wants you to keep up with. Any Sim, young adult or over, can start their own dynasty, complete with a custom name and crest. So dynasty dominates through a devotion to shared values, which are set when the dynasty head chooses up to 3 skills and 3 ideals. When members show that they align with these values, like by joining relevant careers, working on the right skills, or performing related interactions, the dynasty's prestige goes up. The higher the prestige level, the more the dynasty can take advantage of perks like private tutors or nepotism. When the Sim in a dynasty does things that conflict with the dynasty values, prestige can go down. So prestige can also take a hit when a member is at the center of a scandal, such as a steamy tryst, the member of a rival dynasty being exposed or having a secret child. Besides the values, the head can choose their heir and declare outcasts. An outcast might seek redemption or they might rebel. An heir might be overwhelmed by pressure or they might rise to the occasion. Relationships can get complicated, and how it all plays out is up to you. Maintain unity to increase the numbers of positive events the dynasty sees, or see what drama unfolds when it gets low. So I feel like that basically sums up the Dynasty gameplay trailer. Now, again, one of the things that they didn't mention is you can create your own dynasty. Now, at first glance, this UI is very similar to the Get Together Club system. Now, one thing I did thought that was really cool was the fact that you can choose a family crest. So you have the option for a shield. There's a bunch of different colors like blue, green, and then there's also an emblem. I think obviously this makes sense for the player to be able to customize and build up their own dynasty. I don't know why, but I thought you had to pick between those 3 dynasties, and then some way, somehow you're able to create your own through like one of those. But no, like the game is actually giving the player the option to create one from scratch. Now, you can also choose the members of your dynasty. Now, I know a lot of people are very confused by this because a dynasty definitely has more than just 10 people. I'm skipping way ahead, but they did confirm in the Q&A that you could have more than 10 members in your dynasty. There actually is a button to view all, so from there you can click and then see who all the dynasty members are. I don't know if there's a way to swap out certain members when you open up this like UI, or it could just be the first 10 people that you add to your dynasty. I'm not really sure, but I know a lot of people were confused about that one. Now, again, moving on to the Q&A. So start off with the first question: can kids join a dynasty? So they said yes, they can be invited to any dynasty started by their direct family members, parents, grandparents, and etc. Again, we already mentioned this, but there is no cap on the dynasty members. You can have as many members as you like. The UI will only show 8, but you can add more beyond that. Next question is it possible to edit skills and values in a dynasty ever? So they said yes, the head of a dynasty can change the skills and ideals at any point, although some Sims may not be happy if you make a change that doesn't align with their traits. Moving on, they say, can you have a dynasty without being royalty? So they said yes, any family can become a dynasty. So I think that makes sense. That they're basically saying you don't have to play with all the royalty stuff if you want to create a dynasty. And again, there are dynasties out there that are not like, you know, tied to like royalty. So next question is, I'm sure you have a lot coming in, but I was curious how inviting other households into your dynasty works. Are they now related to your Sim? So they responded saying, yeah, they had to be related either by family ties or by marriage. If there's a Sim you really want to be part of your family, you can always propose or adopt them. So yeah, this is a follow-up question, but you can actually adopt adult Sims now. It's not just like kids or teenagers. But yeah, for someone to join your dynasty, it has to be through some type of family ties. So even if they're not by blood, as long as they're adopted in, or if it's by marriage. So next question is the scandal system only limited to dynasties, or can other Sims suffer them as well? So they answer, the scandal system is not limited to dynasties. The features are separate. Your Sims who aren't in dynasties can still have secrets / scandals and extort Sims, etc. And this is why I want to make a separate video talking about this pack, just more of my opinions. I think this is where it starts to get a little bit confusing because the secrets / like extorting Sims is very, very similar to what we have with For Rent. The only difference is there's a lot more options on how a Sim can respond when they have secrets and scandals. And I think this is like one of the biggest problems why people keep saying this pack is recycled. If you already bought for rent and then you buy this pack, you're basically paying for the same feature twice, which to me makes zero sense. And again, it's not really fleshed out, right? Like it's pretty similar to what we have already. There's just more options and variables to how you deal with a scandal slash secret. So they also mentioned, how do you earn Dynasty perks? They said, as your Dynasty members follow the values and do aligned actions, the Dynasty will increase in prestige level. Each prestige level gain grants points that you can spend on Dynasty perks. So again, this is also another thing where like a lot of people have been saying this feels very similar to Get Together with the club system. It kind of works the same way where like if you do a bunch of interactions that are assigned to your club, you accumulate points that you can use to redeem for new perks in that club. So this is basically the same shit, but it's just with the royalty stuff. So this is another feature that is very recycled. So yeah, again, it's like a big yikes. It does feel like I'm paying for the same features I've already bought in the past. This new Dynasty Club thing isn't too different from what we have with Get Together, which is really unfortunate. Now they asked, will there be any cross-pack dynastic ideals? They said, yeah, all the ideals cover all the base game and all the X play that was eligible. This list is thorough. They mentioned, can you set a Dynasty approved outfit, like for example, the Panda suit from Outdoor Retreat? So no Dynasty outfits, but you could always set up an additional outfit for them in cast for all categories, pandas everywhere. So yeah, it's not like the club system like Get Together, you can just designate different outfits like party wear or like formal wear or like a specific outfit. I guess they only did that because they didn't want it to feel too similar to the club system, but I mean, bro, it already feels like that. So can there be a child of two dynasties? What happens if, for example, the Caps and the Monty have two heirs who marry? What dynasty will their child belong to? So I'm not gonna like read everything word for word. I'm just gonna answer because I already know the answers. So yeah, if you do have two people from different dynasties have a kid, you have to choose between which dynasty the kid comes from. You can't like have a hybrid of both dynasties, if that makes sense. Now another question is, in the trailer it shows only two options for if you discover a scandal, agreeing to keep it a secret or extorting the other sim, just like with secrets and for rent. Is there not an option to reveal the scandal to everyone? So they mentioned there's a lot of options for scandals. If your skim discovers another sim secret, they can expose it to the world. So we saw that in the very first trailer when I was talking about the whole maid situation. She sent like a mass text and everyone knew about Princess Cordelia's like whole affair. They said causing a scandal, you can also extort for money, headship of the dynasty, or if the sim is a noble, you can force him to abdicate. So again, we've seen this already, guys, with for rent. The only difference is there's like new like interactions because of the dynasty gameplay and all the royal stuff, which again is kind of cool, but you know, this to me feels more of like a cross pack feature, not like a new feature. And I could have messed this up, but in the previous question asked about the dynastic ideals, I think I might have read that wrong. I'll go back and check that. But they said, yes, the ideals include encourage and discourage careers, activities, and extracurriculars from past pack skills as well. So I think in the trailer we saw that one of the Sibs was like playing a game on their phone or texting, I'm not sure, and the dynasty leader was like not happy about that, and like it looked like she was kind of like, you know, like scolding her for that. So it's obviously going to be like certain things that you shouldn't be doing in your dynasty versus things that you're supposed to do. Also even careers, like, you know, maybe you're supposed to be like a lawyer or something, but then you end up like, you know, joining the scientist career and they don't like that. So I think that's like the vibe I'm getting from this. Now another question is, are there any special dynasty perks related to Occult? So they said we have a dynasty value entirely dedicated to Occult. It's called Mysterious and is perfect for supernatural families. So this question is kind of weird, but I think the person is asking if you can merge dynasties when two people get married. So they said you can merge dynasties when two members get married, creating a new dynasty with a starting booster prestige based on the original dynasties. My one problem with this is, let's say both dynasties have maxed out prestige and then they want to combine their dynasties when they get married. What's this boost looking like, right? Like, is it like a very small boost, or do I get to keep the original prestige I had from both dynasties, or is it combining both the prestige progress, right? I feel like if I'm getting married to someone, that's a big deal. I think a player should be rewarded for that. So that's very interesting. And someone did ask if this pack's features have any crossovers with the political career. I'm assuming the political career came with city living, but I could be wrong. It said, yes, if you're a politician, sim is in a dynasty with the diplomatic value, they'll gain more prestige for the family each time they go to work and rank faster within the dynasty positions. Now, someone did ask if a vampire turns a sim, will they be eligible for the dynasty? So they responded saying they will be eligible. We have a soft spot for occults and always root for them. So we've made the vampire offspring relationship eligible for dynasty members. So technically speaking, if you you turn someone into a vampire, they are welcome into your dynasty. It doesn't have to be like a family tie or anything, which is interesting. I wonder if this is like for the other occults as well, like werewolves. They didn't mention it, so maybe not. I'm not sure. Another question is, will this be retroactive to current saves, or will we have to start new saves to have full play? They said this is retroactive. I play tested this with my 10-year-old save file, so I'm assuming they mean you can just integrate this into your save file and just start playing. You don't have to like start a new game. Now they said, is it possible to import new goth land grab dynasties into older saves? I want to play with the rework households without restarting. So yeah, for those who don't know, because I don't think we talked about this, apparently I think the goth family and the land grab family have a dynasty if you buy this expansion pack, and I could be wrong. I don't know if it's with the expansion pack or with a base game update that's coming. I still haven't covered that on the video, and I will. And apparently Johnny Zest is now a part of the dynasty. For those who don't know, Johnny Zest is actually part of the land grabs. I don't know the lore of like what happened. Maybe someone can explain that in the comments, but he is part of like the land grab family, and with this new update, and I think with the new base game update, he's now part of like the family tree and everything. So yeah, but yeah, they did mention that they can't modify existing saves, but if you like the values we chose, you can recreate their dynasties in older saves. So they said, can a sim be part of more than one dynasty? But they said no, just the one, but your dynasties can form alliances with any other dynasties that you consider a good match for your sims. Now I'll give credit where credit is due. This is the type of stuff I want to see with these expansion packs. Like, I think the fact that you can form alliances with other dynasties is such a cool gameplay element, bro. Like, that just adds more like layer to this expansion pack and adds more depth to like your storytelling, right? I think having alliances is really cool. Like, I didn't even expect them to do that, but like it just makes sense for something like that to be in this pack. Now, from what I remember with the trailer, the only benefit from, again, forming alliances with other dynasties is that it helps boost your prestige, which makes sense. Like, but I don't know if that's like the only like upside to that. Now, another question is, does a dynasty mean that they're a royal family, or does it just mean a influential family? So they say just influential. You can have dynasties only, royals only, or a combination of both. You can play however you want. So the next question is it possible for one dynasty to have 2 or even more kingdom rulers, kind of like conquering the world? So they said yes, dynasty membership is only restricted to a family, not world, household, or career. So if you have family members who rule in different neighborhoods, they can all be in the same dynasty. So yeah, the next question is, will they be able to have larger family trees with the new system? And will there be vast overhaul or merely backing code upgrades to family tree systems? So they said the family tree looks definitely larger. We visualize more sims in the screen, both vertically and horizontally. And you have many new family ties categories. There will also be new frames for the portraits depending on their royal rank, if any, and special icons on top of the portraits reflecting their power dynamic within their family leader, heir, or outcast. So I could be skipping ahead, but I know it's been confirmed that I'm pretty sure the game will be able to tell you who's your cousin. It's not just like brothers or sisters or like uncles. Now, another question is, do you have to manually designate an heir, or is it automatic? So they said yes, it has to be manually chosen by players in the heir slot. It's not permanent. You can change it whenever you want. Next question is, will scandals, extortion autonomously happen to our sims from households we aren't playing? I can only the active household trigger them onto other sims. But they said extortion will only happen to your sims playing, either through your sims extorting others or your sims being extorted. Okay, so it answers both my questions. Okay, so the active household that you're playing will extort sims on your behalf, or they can be extorted. And then they said, but you can reveal the scandals of sims outside of your household and see the effects happening to them. So next question is, how can a sim discover scandals of other dynasties? So they say sims can discover another dynasty secrets by asking a sim they both know if they know any secrets about the target sim. You can also dig through trash, hack for secrets, exploring the secret passageway, asking the enchanted mirror, or buying secrets from the info broker's website. I think the hacking for secrets, obviously the secret passageway, that's like a whole new thing. Asking the enchanted mirror, that stuff is new. And then yeah, buying secrets, but you can already go through the trash and all that stuff. So now they say, can the secret children and dynasties be made in cast or generated in game like a long last family members from growing together? So not in cast, it has to be in game only. The secrecy is generated upon birth when you choose from a drop down menu who the baby daddy will be. So that makes sense. So if you want to have like a secret kid scandal thing, it has to be in the game. You can't just like go into the create a sim mode when you're at like a random lot, like for dinner or like at the park, and then just have that sim exist when you go back into the game and then the scandal gets created. Like you have to give birth to the secret child for the scandal to generate, which makes sense. Next question is, can you make our own kings / queens in cast, and will they stay as king or queens if some of their children say no? So they say regency is gained by working hard, so not in cast, but playing through the career you can always use cheats though. So yeah, they're basically saying you have to go through the career unless you use cheats. You have to play through it. You can't just like have a pre-made king or queen, which I I guess I understand, but again, this is a sandbox game, so I feel like if people want to have like pre-made kings and queens from like off rip, they should have that option, I guess. But they said, if you're a royal on the throne, can you hire a royal advisor, and if so, can the advisor be a family member? So they said yes and yes. Now they said in the trailer, the option for someone to reject being the heir was shown. Is there something that triggers that, or is it random? So they said there's a series of criteria taken into consideration for this outcome. I won't say which, but it is not random. They said, is a child only considered worthy of being heir if the parents are married, or can a child born out of wedlock still become the heir? So they said if the child is a member of the dynasty, they can be set as the heir. So they said, how do alliances work? Can they be forged by monarchs or dynasty heads? So only dynasty heads can forge alliances with other dynasty heads. No other titles are required to become the head, as we wanted dynasties and nobility to work independently, depending on how you want to play. They said, replying to the polyamory, I can't even say it, question, I've lost track of where it was, sorry. They said scandals take into consideration relationship boundaries. So if your sim is not in a polyamorous relationship, engaging romantically with others, it will not be a scandal. They said, fun fact, we actually had to put Cordelia in a monogamous relationship so she could have a scandal going on. She and Thiago were originally poly. Okay, so that's very interesting. So obviously if they want to be like in a polyamorous, I can't even say the word, relationship, like that's okay with them. It's not a scandal if you see them like talking to like a third person. They're down for that. They like that stuff. But it is obviously if they're in a monogamous relationship. I don't know if I'm saying that right. So that makes sense. They said, can royals arrange marriages for children like most do IRL? This is an interesting question. So dynasty members can be encouraged to court a specific sim if your dynasty head is feeling like playing matchmaker, but it may not always go to plan. So guys, it's confirmed. You can arrange marriages for your children, but it might not go as planned. They said, can ghosts be head of a dynasty? No one cares about ghosts. I'm gonna move on. But they said yes, they can be. They said also, sorry I lost the question, but there are reward traits for the dynasty. You can buy reward traits that allow your progeny, what is that, to inherit mental, physical, social / and creative boosts. So again, this stuff to me is like recycled garbage. Whenever a new pack comes out, there's always a new way to level up something faster. Now they said, is extortion / secrets being revealed all player directed, or is there a chance a player can get extorted or get their secrets revealed by an NPC? This was kind of touched on before, but I didn't get a clear sense of it. I didn't either. I think that was, thank you. I don't know who asked this question, but yeah, I think it was very unclear. So they said an NPC may call your sim and threaten to extort them if you don't pay up or find another way to silence the extortionist. Then that sim scandal will be revealed. And again, from the previous video, this is what I was talking about. Like there should be ways where you can kind of get rid of this extortionist. But again, I feel like it would have been really cool for them to introduce a bunch of new death types, like again, poisoning a drink. Now they do go into more detail with this. So they said, very interested, spill the tea, please. I don't even know why I read that. Like, why did I read that? They said if a sim is pregnant from another sim who does not match the spouse, there will be a drop down upon birth to choose who the canon baby daddy will be. They said there will be a series of interactions to deal or not with that later, and it will potentially trigger a scandal as well. Now another question is, what other ways are there to silence them? And this was something I've been like basically wondering as well. They said there's also an information broker that you can pay via to computer to bury sim secrets, and that sim might be in the neighborhood as well, who knows. Now they also mentioned that there's a dotted line to the fake dad and one of the real dad if you access the UI from the sim who gave birth. If you access from either of the other sims, you will only see their parenthood, meaning sims who know the truth will see it all. Other sims will only see what they know. But one question is, can any dynasty member go for the head of no hero is chosen? They said dynasty members who want to be heir can ask or even extort their head into choosing them as heir. Or if they have specific values, they can challenge the head for their position through a chess match, duel, or even a fight. Otherwise, any dynasty member who is ranked higher than the head can just usurp the position. So they said, can we hear more about the noble frog prince? Is there lore for him? So they said there's not a single prince or princess. So they just confirmed that there are female frogs as well that people can kiss, which makes sense. They said they might not even have that rank. There are many noble frogs and each have their own rank starting from level 4, which is already quite of a shortcut into nobility career if you want to marry them. Okay, so again, there are certain frogs that have different ranks, so you can kind of get a jump start if you find these frogs and you know they don't reject you. Again, that is a thing, they can reject you and stuff. So yeah. Now this was one of the questions I asked in the previous video that I just didn't know. They said, is the green hooded guy in the trailer the burglar? So they said, yes, we have a new burglar with strong feelings for tax the rich model. Low income sims love them. Okay, so this is basically like a Robin Hood type of thing going on here. So there is a new version of a burglar in this pack. So now another question is, how do secret passages work? They said passages do many things. They said Sims gotta expect them first to find out shortcuts available, and then those can be explored for Sims to appear somewhere else where there's a passage as well. They said they can also serve as an intimate spot for Sims and can be tampered with. So yeah, we saw that in the trailer. You can woohoo in there. You can again sabotage it, and then the next Sim that like interacts with it can die. That is the cuckoo clock death. So they said, yes, for example, we have a decree called the Silver Charter that gives benefits to elders. They no longer get woohoo exhausted and have improved skill gain. So yeah, this is all the new features that are coming with this pack. Again, guys, I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions on this. Overall, the pack does have some very like unique features. I think there are certain things that like are cool to me. I feel like the pack isn't as deep as it could have been. It does kind of sound like it's on the shallow side. And there's a lot of recycled features in my personal opinion. I'm kind of like, it's definitely a lot more interesting to me like than it was before. I can tell you right now, if I did a review on this pack, I probably wouldn't recommend it just based off like the info that I have. Again, I want to see some like live stream gameplay or something just so we can kind of see all this like, you know, working in like 4K. But yeah, that's kind of like my thoughts so far on this pack. But yeah, I would love to hear you guys' thoughts and opinions on this. If you guys have made it to the end of this video, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys have a good day and take care.